Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the quick update over the situation at the Battle of Bakhmut. So, I want to superimpose the 2 days of the mapping. So, you can see that there's some changes in terms of the front line, and this is thus what we are trying to talk about. And previously, the front line actually looks like this. We're going to mark it out, and so that we can have some kind of idea what have changed. So it looks something like this, with the Russian lines looking a little bit similar, but there's some push. Yeah, looks a bit like this. Otherwise, everything else is pretty much similar, I guess. Something like this. Yeah. So now you can actually see much more clearly. So what have changed? The main change is actually in the push around this stadium here, the Metallurgy Stadium. If I'm not wrong, this is the name of the stadium, as well as Hotel Bakhmut. There's a police station here, and then there is actually Bakhmut train station here. So there's these few landmarks that you should kind of know. And the Russian forces seems to have been pushing out, continue to take a lot of ground in a single day of combat or two. This area here, this one is actually probably the past 12 hours. So this is pretty new. And there is also pushing in this area here that the pro-Ukrainian source have admit that they have lost. So the push is in all such directions. And the Ukrainians, particularly in the southern salient, have officially withdrawn further back, according to Deep State UA, and they are now holding a new line. And in terms of the front line here, the pro-Ukrainian source continue to assert that they have control around this area here. They still assert they have that area, but they considered this entire area. The entire front line here is actually first plotted using Deep State UA's mapping, and then it was corroborated by Surya maps, and then by Ryba. Surya maps is the neutral source, and Ryba is actually a pro-Russian source, and the information pretty much is very similar. So all this information is very highly credible. And so the Ukrainian forces is now still at the police station, and the front line has reached very close to the Bakhmut train station over here. So let me draw the circle nicer. And the entire Ukrainian forces have fall back. The entire line, as I have previously updated in the previous quick update, that the Ukrainians have kind of give up this entire area here. This entire area. Let me use another color. So this entire area here has been given up previously, as I mentioned, that the Ukrainian forces is now trying to pull back to the next line of defense along the railway line. But of course, don't underestimate this map looking like this. It's actually a pretty far distance. Oops. And because this distance here is now around 700 meter, 1 kilometer. The length is around 2 kilometers. So there is certain distance, 1 kilometers from the front line previously to the railway line. So the in the battleground front line situation, every 50 meters is hellish. To maneuver, to move around, and withdrawal cannot be just done instantly. You cannot just turn around and leave. Tactical movements to protect, to prevent the enemies to overrun you is very important. So even as I believe that the Ukrainians are trying to form this line of defense along the railway line, which also acknowledged by Prigozhin, that this is going to be the next line of defense. And the next, after the Prigozhin mentioned that after this line of defense, the next line of defense will be along this high-rise building region here on the western part of Bakhmut. So this is the next line of defense which the Ukrainians currently are trying to fall back on. So, and there is this salient here that they might not be able to get out very easily, as they need to go around. So so this area here will be also quite critical in terms of how the Ukrainian forces have to move and to protect each other in order to get out, so that they can form a straight line, and then it will make defending perhaps easier, because if not, then the Russian forces are seemingly coming from all directions, and it can be very confusing for the defenders. And I'm quite sure at this moment Ukrainian forces is pulling reinforcement and reinforce this line as we speak, so that these forces can be covered. Hopefully there will be no friendly fire incidents as they fall back, so that they don't get confused. So yeah, so moving on closer, we can see that there is a police station. There's a police station here. So the police station is around here. This is the police station region, and so the Ukrainian forces, according to the pro-Ukrainian source, is actually the line is actually like this, and so not this one. This is the line, and then based on pro-Russian sources, and they currently have pushed into this area, this grid here, and pro-Russian sources also put it as the front line as here. So this is a line here, and they are just next to the railway line. So I can imagine that the Russian forces will have to capture this area here and provide fire control over this entire area, and they can actually block off this entire area using fire to prevent the Ukrainians from traversing through this area here. So so the retreat will likely to have to come, if they have to abandon this area, they have to go around from the top, from this area here, if the Russian forces is actually really around this area here. Further south, this is the area that kind of surprised me, is how fast the progress of the Russian forces were. Previously, the Russians only arrived just outside of the stadium, and then very close to this beautiful, interesting landmark that no one can miss, Hotel Bakhmut. And for them to suddenly, allow the Russians to capture this much ground in the space of 24 to 36 hours is amazing. How fast the Wagner private military contractors are moving in this direction, which means that the Ukrainian forces are not trying to hold every single building in this area here. They are not trying to defend every single building here, which is very unusual for the way how the Ukrainians are fighting so far, because usually they try to defend every single building, trying to make it as hard as possible. And I'm not sure if this has something to do with the deployment of the TOS-1 flamethrowers, as well as the gliding FAB bombs, the FAB bombs, which are extremely powerful in terms of the explosive power. So far, I went to look at the warhead of the HIMARS versus the weight of all these. For example, just a FAB 500. The HIMARS unit, the most biggest unitary bomb I can see on Wikipedia, is just 90 kilograms. A FAB 500 basically is 500 kilograms. So it's basically 5 times more powerful in terms of explosive power, which means that a single explosion can basically take out the entire building, and this is what HIMARS cannot do. And not to mention, HIMARS can be intercepted. Such bombs, such glide bombs, so far I have not heard anything or seen anything that suggests that such bombs can be intercepted. You can intercept the plane, but so far the plane can launch all these bombs, these gliding bombs, from I think 30 to 80 kilometers away from the front line, which is tremendously far away. So air defense usually cannot be deployed so near. So there is no way the Ukrainian forces can shoot down all these planes as well. So this is a tremendous technical problem that the Ukrainians have to solve. And then in the latest update, the Russian forces have pushed out in this area here, just very close to the entrance to the railway station that the Ukrainians currently have control over. And this is the latest information I get, and it just feels like the Ukrainians are really abandoning their positions at this moment, maybe leaving some covering force so that they can actually form up the new line. On the south of this area here, you can also see it's a similar situation. The Ukrainian lines previously was here, and then you can see how far the front line have changed. the Russian forces able to push further up along the Bakhmutska Street, the Valicia Pashina Street, the entire southern suburb in the south of Bakhmutska Street, where I feel that the salient here is highly problematic for the Ukrainians, which means that the Ukrainians, oops, wrong color. So which means that the Ukrainians are actually, taking notice that this is actually not a holdable position. Interestingly, is that this entire area here is not acknowledged by Deep State UA, the pro-Ukrainian source. They continue to assert that this entire region here is under Ukrainian control. This area here is under Ukrainian control, invalidating or at least conflicting against pro-Russian information about the fighting around this area. So other than that, we have information of reinforcement coming from the Ukrainians in the western side of Bakhmut. Accordingly, these are the 14th separate assault, the Krasno-Kalinskaya Brigade of the National Guard, as well as the Patrol Service of the Police Kiev, was transferred there. And in the southwest, where we have the fighting along this area here of the MiG-17 monument, this area here, the Russians doesn't seem to be pushing very hard in this area, despite there is fighting being reported along here over the past in the previous update that we have updated. We did not see information of fighting reported here. Reinforcement is reported to have arrived in the south and southwest outskirts from Stuposhki. The 24th separate battalion, the AIDA, was sent to hold this position, to hold this junction here, the junction between Kosonskogo Street and this other street called what, Tchaikovskogo Street. So they are supposed to hold this area here. So this is their job. So the reinforcement is here to do this job. And because this ultimately, like I mentioned in the previous quick update about the Battle of Bakhmut, I mentioned that this is actually still a viable road for the Ukrainians to use. So to keep a line open here, to defend this area here, will allow the Ukrainian maximum number of roads to use to resupply and reinforce this way, or to retreat. There's another way here, and there's another way here through Krumovik. So these three roads are currently still open. The two of these are under limited fire control from the Russians, but are still usable. So this is okay. Still one more point, one more place I haven't mentioned is actually around the northwestern part. Sorry, northwestern part of Bakhmut. As you can see, the previous front line is here, and the Russian lines is reportedly here. So this was the front line, and as you can see, why you run away? Don't run away. Okay, so it was like this. So you can see that the Russian forces have pushed forward further, and they have also captured more of this forest region that the Russians have acknowledged, have always asserted, or at least neutral sources also asserted, that they have control over. The Ukrainian sources only just updated to be like this, to give up this control around this area here in their reporting. So the fighting remains unchanged. The front line here remain unchanged. The main push is actually down south of the of this area here in the Rose Alley. Yeah, this area here. So that's the update from the northwestern part of Bakhmut. So this is the quick update of the Battle of Bakhmut. And just one more piece of information I thought you guys might be interested. Pro-Russian sources, Ryber, reported that the estimated number of forces at the Bakhmut Front is at 50,000 across all the different battalions and whatever. So it's 50k of the Bakhmut of the Ukrainian forces is at this region here. So anyway, thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe if you are new to this channel, And do check out the DPA war channel as well, and I'll see you in the next update.